بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم نحمده ونصلي ونسلم على رسوله الكريم أما بعد السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. Alhamdulillah, we just skipped yesterday regarding these ahadiths, so we're just continuing from here on Fajr Ta'aleem, and we're just talking about the life of the hereafter and just some of those events which occur, which happen prior to a person passing away, and even beyond that as well. So now our Prophet ﷺ, he's mentioned in the hadith that إنما القبر روضة من رياض الجنة أو حفرة من حفر النار, that the grave is either a garden from amongst the gardens of paradise, or it's a pit from amongst the pits of hell. So the grave, it's either a garden from amongst the gardens of paradise. In what sense? In the sense that, like we already mentioned, that a believer, when he passes away and he gets past the questioning of Munkar and Nakir, he gets past the questioning of those two angels, then after passing, the grave of such a believer, it will be extended in the sense that it mentioned that his grave will be the size of as far as his eyes can see, and there'll be a window on the side, or whereby the breezes of and the sweet fragrances of Jannah will come in from, and this person will be eager for Qiyamah. This person will be eager for the Day of Judgment to start quickly. Why? So that this person can acquire, and this person can experience and indulge in the pleasures and in the rewards which are already in store for him. So this is in regards to a believer whilst he's in the grave. And then the second part of the hadith, أو حفرة من حفر النار, or the grave, it's either a pit from amongst the pits of Jahannam, from amongst the pits of the hellfire. So in the same sense as well, that if a person he goes through those same phases and he fails, he doesn't answer the questions of the two angels Munkar and Nakir, he doesn't answer them correctly, then what will happen? This grave will be a means and a source of being punished. This grave will be a means of going through anxiety, and this will remain all the way until the person's resurrected from the grave. Now this is the reality of the grave, and it's been mentioned that whenever Hazrat Uthman radiallahu ta'ala anh, is the third Khalifa of Islam, whenever he used to stand at a graveside, he used to cry excessively, to the extent that his blessed beard would become wet. So someone once asked him that why don't you cry so much when Jannat and Jahannam are mentioned? For example, when you recite the Quran and you hear about Jannat and Jahannam, how come you don't cry as much then, in comparison to in comparison to the amount that you cry when the grave is mentioned, when you pass a grave? What's the difference? Surely, when Allah Ta'ala talks about Jannat and Jahannam, your reaction to that should be, you should be more responsive in comparison to the reaction of when the grave is mentioned. So now, Uthman radiallahu anhu, he replied that I heard Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam mention, I heard him saying that the grave is the first stage from the stages of the Akhirah. Whoever passes it easily, then all the oncoming stages will be easier for him. And whoever is afflicted with punishment in the grave, then the oncoming stages will be even more difficult for him. And then he also mentions that I also heard Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam saying that I have not seen any scene more severe than the scene of the grave. So now, how do we make the grave? How do we make our grave a garden from amongst the gardens of paradise? So here there's this famous saying from Sufyan al-Thawri rahmatullah alayhi, who's he's a well-known jurist and he's a well-known scholar of hadith in Islam. So he mentions that من أكثر من ذكر القبر وجده روضة من رياض الجنة ومن غفل عن ذكره وجده حفرة من حفر النار. So he sums it up very nicely, and he says that whoever remembers the grave frequently, whoever remembers the grave very often, then he'll find it to be a garden of paradise. And whoever is heedless of its remembrance, whoever doesn't bother thinking and pondering about death, you can say, then such a person will find it to be a pit of hellfire. So may Allah Ta'ala gives the tawfiq to make our graves a garden from amongst the gardens of Jannah. And may Allah Ta'ala save us from our graves, from the graves of our loved ones, and from the graves of all Muslims of becoming a pit from amongst the pits of Jahannam. Subhanallah bihamdi, subhanaka Allahumma wa bihamdika, ashhadu an la ilaha illa anta, astaghfiruka wa atubu ilayk.